Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare, two very different ends of the same Call of Duty spectrum. But how does 2020's offering hold up? Does it build upon Modern Warfare's idea of more casual play, introducing battle royales and strange seasons of peculiar weapons? Well, joining me today is Richie Bracamonte, and we're going to figure out which Call of Duty is right for you. Alright, Richie, you're a pro gamer. Tell me your feels about the multiplayer offerings for both these games. Starting with Modern Warfare.
I had a great time, a wonderful time with 2019's Modern Warfare. Around the office, we all agree that it took a lot of risks, even for Call of Duty players who were comfortable where they were. A lot of things like the very big map design, which was, some would say, they called it very porous, and I agree with that totally. But it was built that way so that it was approachable to everyone in terms of camping and hiding. So it was a little more rewarded in this game.
Yeah, talking about maps, I fully agree with you. One of my favourite additions to Modern Warfare was Ground War. I'm a huge Battlefield fan, so having basically Call of Duty Battlefield, that was like kind of their offering, was a really welcome addition, and it made it feel like a much more accessible game on PC as well. And I don't think Ground War got as much love as I wanted it to have, but I was really impressed with how they were able to balance vehicles, huge maps, huge number of players, when it isn't really Call of Duty's forte. With that idea in mind, I think they really knocked it out of the park, and for all the time I played Modern Warfare 2019, that was easily my most played game mode. When it comes to Black Ops, however, though, I am really enjoying the multiplayer. It does, for me at least, feel like a more arcadey experience than Modern Warfare did. The maps are a lot tighter. A lot of them stick to the classic Call of Duty 3-lane sort of thing. I haven't really gelled with the rhythm of the game yet. Maybe it's because the Fireteam is in that middle ground of the arcadey team deathmatch stuff and then the ground war really objective-based stuff that I'm used to. It's kind of, Fireteam's not quite found a home yet. I've played the Dirty Bomb mode as well, and as I think we both agree on, really cool concept, little messy, but it's an environment that you don't have to take too seriously.
Totally. It's again another really good idea on paper, a little chaotic, and if you're not playing with friends, it's slightly worse. Randoms kind of go off and do their own thing more than ever in this mode, and don't play the objective, at least at launch. But yeah, it's cool because it's mixing ideas from even like Warzone and Modern Warfare with armor plate system and big team objectives. So I welcome it, but I'm with you with the overall gelling of the overall feeling of this game. It's coming from Modern Warfare. It's kind of it feels like a step backwards.
Technically a step backwards, but just where they've already been, if that makes sense. Modern Warfare was a jump forward, and now Black Ops, it feels like they've gone back to familiar ground with that sort of really very fast-paced, arcadey style. Yeah, I see why, me personally, and as you've said, it's finding hard to get into the rhythm, but part of me is also concerned that maybe Modern Warfare just spoiled us with loads of maps towards the end of its, well, before Black Ops came out, loads of guns. Switching to this now, I feel like, hey, where's the rest of it? I'm still hungry. Black Ops, where's the rest of my meal? Well, that was the multiplayer offerings, but I am someone who does not sleep on a good Call of Duty campaign. And thankfully, 2019 and 2020's Black Ops have both been great campaigns. But as far as I'm concerned, 2019 really set a bar for Call of Duty campaigns, and not just because it pulled at your nostalgia with bringing back Mustachio himself, Captain Price, although that is a huge part of it.
Captain Price, Sergeant Garrick, you with me?
Might be the wrong thing to say, but 2019's Call of Duty, it felt like they gave a shit about campaigns again, and that created a really tight, interesting, exciting, cinematic experience that Call of Duty used to be known for.
Overall, it was a successful reimagining or reintroduction of the Modern Warfare series, because it's not always easy to do a reboot. In fact, it's probably really hard. They They explained that like we have to make your memories of this story, of the Modern Warfare story, as good as ever, even better. So, and I think they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, for sure. And they made some really interesting and sometimes controversial choices. The London raid mission was it was a great mission. It was really exciting to play, and I could see why there were people that had issues with it. And, you know, Activision themselves calls the player out if you are some kind of sick weirdo who wants to try and shoot the baby in the mission. Talking about Black Ops single player now, I think Black Ops Cold War might be one of my favorite campaigns. It nails the kind of pulp 80s movie vibe that I think it was going for. It was a little like kind of Man from U.N.C.L.E. meets James Bond meets the Call of Duty Black Ops story that we know, adding in really interesting locations, really interesting mechanics.
It's also just good to see familiar faces again in a down to earth, as down to earth as you can get with espionage storyline. But you know, we're not in the future anymore. We're back in 81. And it's looking solid. And since I saw the ending, I can say that it's nice to see that you have some options along the way.
The whole structure of the campaign was really well done, I think. Having those sort of side missions that you actually had to think about. One example is you're trying to decipher like cryptographs and passcodes and hidden messages and listen to number stations, and you're actually having to do it yourself. You're solving the little hidden Russian secrets within newspapers and radio waves.
Moscow. 2, 4, 8, 5.
If you manage to figure it out and get the results you want and then finish the game, it has that kind of Fallout thing when Ron Perlman will be like, and the character did this and this, and it will be reflected in your choices you made, and if you were a clever clogs and figured it out. And that, I was like, that's so very cool and so very stylish.
It's like refreshing that there's, for once, replayability in a Call of Duty game. You know, you do the campaign at the end of the year when the game comes out every year, and then you don't really think about it too much anymore. But they've implemented all these side puzzles and alternate endings, and if you do specific things in the campaign, I've noticed that you get these challenges unlocked that give you banners for multiplayer, you know, cosmetics for your emblems and stuff like that. Like, it's worth going back to.
I can't recommend the Black Ops Cold War campaign enough. I see people, it happens every year with Call of Duty. That's why Call of Duties in the past didn't have a campaign, because people weren't playing them. Stop playing half your game. You paid for the campaign. Play the damn thing. So the two games' co-op offerings are very different. On one end we have Spec Ops, which was a little disappointing, I'm not afraid to say, and Zombies, which seems to get more bombastic and strange and peculiar every year. But why don't we start off with Spec Ops? And I appreciate the effort that went into making this, but I don't think it was really what people wanted or what they were expecting.
I agree. It was pretty broken at launch. Again, the idea was cool of a PvE mode that extends the great story, the great campaign. And you know, you can find intel along the way. It sounded like a cool idea on paper, but it was actually very rough at launch, and it took a while for a solid patch to get things going decently. The enemies were way too crazy, way too difficult. There were way too many. It felt like you weren't going anywhere unless you had a team that knew exactly what they were doing every mission. Which, you know, if you grind it out like I did, I finished all the Spec Op missions, you know, at what cost? But by the end, it was finally playable, and I get what they were doing. It was just rough.
But personally, when I heard Spec Ops was coming back, I just remembered Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2's Spec Ops modes, when you had the series of missions that were little stories that were really well done and tightly packed. So I thought they were going to do something like that again. And, you know, when we get another Modern Warfare entry, I hope that's how they do Spec Ops, because getting one of your friends and playing through those was so good. Dropping us all in a random map and just, yeah, shooting bullet sponge enemies was not it, Chief.
That's a bit shit.
But it couldn't be more different for the co-op offerings of Black Ops Cold War, and the zombies are back.
Much like the campaign, the zombies mode was kind of brought back down to earth, and it's still a very fantastical story, but we're starting from like a new plot line that's just also approachable, and it's a great map. It's approachable, but it's familiar because it's based off of the very first map that ever existed for zombies, back for Nazi zombies in World at War, and that's
Nachter and Toten.
There it is. That's the one.
Yeah.
I did not want to butcher that, so thank you. It's a beautifully upgraded map now that takes place in the 80s. There's a big lab, and the Easter egg is, I would say, like medium level difficulty, so you can do it. And now you have the option to do it solo, which is nice. In Black Ops 4, there were so many perks and things you can equip to make your character better, and they've kind of scaled that back down to familiar perks, and I think it's a lot more playable for people who haven't played before, and comfortable for people who have.
For me, this entry of zombies has just been like, this is meant to be a silly fun mode with a little challenge to it. It's that again, and I honestly couldn't be happier with zombies. Thank you, blessed zombie god, for returning to us. Well, which Call of Duty is going to be right for you then, if you've somehow not played either? Personally, I think if you're after a more visceral experience, if you want the larger maps, if like me you're a lapsed Battlefield fan that's still got some of that itch that needs scratching, then 2019's Modern Warfare still has loads to offer you. If you want something that's more stylistic, more arcadey, more jump in, play a few rounds, enjoy the speed and action cinematics of it, then I think you're going to have more enjoyment with Black Ops Cold War. What do you think, Richie?
I'm in the same boat. I really loved what Call of Duty did in 2019, and the whole year was great. They did a lot of things right. Although it was a departure from classic Call of Duty style of games in terms of multiplayer. Black Ops Cold War, it's a little early to tell, so I'm doing the juggling act right now, but I am enjoying my time with it. Hopefully, as the year goes on, we'll see more improvements and patches, because we can live in a world with both of these titles and be just fine. They don't have to be the same game, so I'm looking forward to seeing what'll come.
Exactly. We're in a position now where there's a share world within Warzone, there's crossplay everywhere, and I think both games have something to offer, and there's a unifying thing with both games, I think, and that is that no matter what you play, no matter what system you play on, you're gonna have to do a big ass install. And I think that's quite beautiful that they share that. I think that's really hits me where I live. But to see where else I live, you can subscribe to GameSpot. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like it if you did. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, which Call of Duty you're playing this season, and if I see anyone sink my boat on that weird Black Ops boat map, we're gonna fall out. Alright, we'll see you next time.